Hi, welcome to one more episode of Zindagi Ka Safar. And when you are on a journey of life, uh, you meet your friend after a very, very long time. So, what you see behind me, this is a photograph which has been taken in Sydney. And I met a very dear friend of mine who is joining us today, Biju John. We met up, and after a very long day, just like what we are recording today, he came and met me, and we just spoke for 1.5 hours, and he had to go back. And I just realized that I uh, have lost touch with him, and I have not uh, too much idea about his life. So I said, why not? Let's call him back. And what we are going to be doing is talking about his Zindagi Ka Safar. And whatever conversation I have not been able to do, I'm not only going to be doing it with him today, but we are also going to be sharing that for all other viewers who are there. So, Viju, welcome to this podcast. So tell us about your Zindagi Ka Safar, little bit about your growing up. Where did you study, and what were your aspirations when you were a small kid?
Well, firstly, thank you so much, Tuhin. Yes, it's indeed was really good, wonderful to touch base with you when you were in Sydney a few years ago, and to connect back in all those old memories. And thank you once again for inviting me on your show. Really appreciate it. Yeah, just to give you a quick background, I grew up in Bangalore.
Hmm.
Spent most of my life in Bangalore because my dad moved from Kerala in the early 50s
Hmm.
to look for a better life, and
Okay.
that's how we ended up in Bangalore. And so I did all my studies in Bangalore. I wouldn't say all my studies up to year 12,
Hmm.
and then I did my engineering in Mysore.
Hmm.
Um, then did a couple of years of work, and then joined you at TAPME to
Yeah.
do our PGDM in Manipal.
Hmm.
So that's been my life, and then I got back to Bangalore on work, got
Hmm.
married, and in 2000 we migrated to Australia.
Okay.
Um, and I tell people jokingly, I said I came for the Olympics, and then took refuge in this country.
Hmm.
So, so it's yeah. So we've been in Australia for the last 21 years, and it's been a fantastic run, I should say. Look back with gratitude.
Okay. That's lovely. Uh, for example, once in a while, I think you still are able to come over to India. I think maybe you have not come for the last 1 year plus because of the lockdown and other thing. But when you come back to Bangalore, how different do you see the Bangalore from what when you were growing up as a child?
Oh, absolutely chalk and cheese. In the early 70s, it was truly the garden city. Winters were very cold.
Hmm.
All of that, the good stuff. And then I could actually see the change because I was studying in Mysore, and in 4 years in Mysore,
Hmm.
every time you come, Bangalore is just moving, crazy. The people, the population has increased,
Hmm.
traffic has increased, all of that. But
Hmm.
then Bangalore is Bangalore. You can, that's it's a beautiful city with despite whatever you people may say,
Hmm.
because it's quite. I would look at it as a melting pot of all cultures, and
Hmm.
I look at Bangalore very similar to Sydney, if you ask me, because you
Hmm.
get people from all walks of life, all
Hmm.
countries. And, in Sydney you get them from all countries. In Bangalore you get them from all states.
Hmm.
Melting pot of good food from
Hmm.
various parts of the world.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of similarity, and so being in Sydney is very much like being in Bangalore on a different scale. That's all. So
Hmm.
yeah, Bangalore is absolutely. I still call it home.
Hmm.
And being in the last 20 years, I've probably traveled on an average of at least once a year. We go back with family.
Hmm.
So yeah, Bangalore is always beautiful.
Okay. So as you said, Bangalore is quite cosmopolitan. Was it very similar 40 years back? Let's say when you're growing up in school and all, do you recollect that you had a Bengali guy who was there in your school, or did you have a Punjabi fellow who is there?
Oh yes, oh yes. So
You had
so
okay.
I definitely remember people from North India, Bengal. I don't think, not in my class at least, but definitely because there were people who were in the government service, right? So their parents, my classmates or batchmates, their parents used to travel, and so when they came to Bangalore on posting, they used to put this boys or girls in our school. So there has definitely been, but not as much as you see now, because the main jobs at that point were the public sector, right, and defense, and so that those people from that area would definitely came through.
Okay, you said in your school it was a co-ed because you said girls were being put. But I don't know how true it is, and that's why I think perception matters. My feeling about you and my interaction with you for 2 years, always got the feeling that you are a little shy when it comes to interacting with girls. So I thought you were like, might have come from an all boys school like I did. So was that a challenge while growing up, or or is my observation incorrect or totally?
No, I was never shy of girls or anything like that. I have a lot of friends who are girls, so
Ah,
and having that healthy relationship really helps in that sense. And the beauty of being in the co-ed school is that you're able to identify 2 points of view
hmm,
on any issue.
hmm,
So I think that really gives you at least I looked at it from a really advantageous position in terms of simple things like respect,
hmm.
for a girl. I think those are some things that really, I don't know whether it's a boys' school or a thing, but I think it's bring as part of your upbringing
Hmm.
in a co-ed. That kind of gets very real to you because you have to be able to respect, otherwise you get smashed in school, right?
Yeah. Okay. And now you have three boys, and I think young men will be a
Yeah.
better description. Yeah, or at least teenage one of them. Um, so, how have you, for example, because I think now in your family it will look like there are four boys, because including you, and how did your wife manage to keep all of you uh, naughty, or I don't know, mischievous boys under control?
Well, yeah. Sometimes you look back and we both talk to each other and said, "How did we actually do it?" No manual. They come without any manuals, as you
Yeah,
know.
very true.
So, but yeah, I just think it's an interesting thing. I was I've been doing something about and I'll talk about a particular program that we're trying to bring to Australia.
Hmm,
Even you go through life stages, right? And
hmm,
in life stages, what you look at is when a child is from 0 to probably 5 years, your job as a parent is a carer.
hmm,
So food, clothing, shelter. If you
hmm,
don't take care of them, they die.
hmm.
Simple.
Yeah.
Uh, and then what happens is the child moves from 5 to probably 12, and
Hmm,
as a parent, also I think your role needs to change from being a carer
hmm,
to this concept that I've been reading about and studying a lot is a cop, where you draw the rules, you draw the lines, you draw the rules in terms of, because that's a very formative stage, right? So,
hmm,
but then what happens is when they move from 12 to about 17,
hmm,
that's when you have maximum tension,
hmm,
and you call it teenage blues. But
hmm,
then what we don't realize as parents is that we haven't changed.
hmm,
Okay, the child has moved on from to being a teenager, but the parent still is in the mode of either carer or cop.
hmm.
So that's when the conflict happens, right?
Yeah.
And so this concept is that when the child moves through teenage, your role is to be a coach,
Hmm,
not a cop.
hmm,
So you tell them how to play the game.
hmm,
You sit on the sidelines and tell them how to play the game. You don't play the game, and you
hmm,
don't you don't you typically don't be a cop.
hmm, hmm,
And when that happens, your relationships become much better.
hmm,
And then they say if you can be a good coach for the from 12 to 18 or 12 to 19,
hmm,
then you've got them for life.
Hmm.
And that is your role changes from coach to a consultant.
Okay.
You only give advice when you're asked for.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if you look at, when we were growing up, my dad, I'm sure, was a cop,
All throughout.
even all throughout. Or he, and that's the way we brought up, right? My mom has always been the carer.
Yeah.
When I was 2 years old, she used to give me food. She still says, "Why don't you eat enough? Why don't you,
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
So I think that particular cycle that is important, and why I think that really helped in bringing up the boys and giving them that space and giving them that respect
Hmm.
as they grow up. So I think it's been quite a journey. We've had our challenges for sure,
Hmm.
but I think your outlook changes, and two of my boys were born here, so you kind of have to work it through that way.
So from consultant, do you maybe then move up and become a mentor as the child starts off with their life and all?
No,
Don't
no.
even
So
give ideas, you just become a mentor.
no. Consultant is actually a
Is
mentor,
actually a
right?
mentor.
Because
Okay. Okay.
because when you consult, like you said, you don't give advice till you're asked for.
Hmm.
And so you find that when you played that role, I think the child trusts you so much that
Hmm.
like I have my son, and I'm not bragging, but I'll say my eldest, he's just started earning his own money, and so he sits with me and says, "Hi, Dad, how do you do? How do you play the shares? How do you?" So I'm saying you have that opportunity for the rest of their life to be their consultant, and that's a beautiful thing. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, lovely. So let's go back to our tap me days and all, because I think MBA for many of us was then trying to decide on what kind of career we want to have. And for example, let's say I decided to get into finance, you were in marketing. So what was your thought process, if you can maybe go back to 93, 95 kind of thing, that how will you see your career evolving in maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line? I'm saying you need to be going back and trying to recollect what was
Correct.
it. Yeah.
So my background is a mechanical engineer, and I'll be very honest with you. I got this job from university and went in and did my work, and I had friends who also got their jobs from campus, and some of them got into IT companies in sales.
Okay.
Okay,
uh, uh,
and they made 3 times as much money as I did
uh,
in being on the shop floor at Ashok Leyland. I used to be an engineer there.
hmm,
So I said, "Hey, hang on, that's not fair. That's not fair." So I said, "All right, I'd really love to get into sales, and it kind of interests me because I was very interested in the creative part of advertising and all of that stuff.
hmm, hmm.
And I was not good at numbers, so finance was completely ruled out.
Okay.
HR was not an option.
Hmm.
So by process of elimination, only marketing remained.
Remains.
So that's how I got into marketing. But how did my career pan out? I think once I joined Wipro from campus and sales, I think I felt very clear in my mind
Hmm.
that sales is like something I'd like to do because a few things. One, it gets you out of office
Hmm.
to go and meet clients,
Hmm.
and with the kind of background in manufacturing, you're able to actually bring a lot of that empathy from a client's perspective.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think that really, really helped me to be able to not just sell something and walk away, but be able to help solve problems for customers. And
Hmm.
I think that really was early on in my career. I think I learned that golden rule
Hmm.
is put yourself in the customer's shoes,
Hmm.
and business will come
Hmm.
if you are able to empathize and be a problem solver. I think that was quite key for me, and
Hmm.
that when the penny dropped quite early. And I think that's something that I've carried through life in terms of I always look at myself when I go and meet somebody. It's a relationship I want to develop for life.
Hmm.
The person may be of absolutely may not be valuable to me at my, but that relationship is very valuable.
Hmm.
So that's how I look at it, and the ability to help somebody. I've seen in my career also that I call people and hey, how you going? And the guy is actually expecting me to ask for a favor.
Oh.
I would finish the conversation and say, all right, bye. He says, hey, but why did you call me?
Uh,
And I said, I just called you because I just wanted to speak to you. That's all. It's not, you build a relationship not expecting anything, and I think that really pays off, because I've seen that in my own self, where I know that particular person's got a particular interest, and I've met somebody else who's got a similar interest. Just being able to connect those two people doesn't give you any benefit, but I think on the long run, you're seen as somebody who's really interested in relationships and people, and so I think that really has helped me develop my career.
So lovely. So if you are looking at the post Tap Me days and working, it's more than now 25 plus years, and you have been in IT industry most of the time. Has your role evolved over the number of years? So from looking at, let's say, management trainee who has joined Wipro to today, um, a consultant with a big organization, has the role really changed for you, evolved in a way?
The products and solutions that I've taken through the years has completely changed.
Okay.
But the selling style, what drives me, those things are still intact in the sense there's been no change there. And because the products and the services have changed, always you got to be up to scratch. When I was in Wipro, I was selling hardware, and then slowly moved into selling solutions for manufacturing. Then when I came here, I was looking at more, CRM, and that was the 2000s when CRM was big. And then what happened? We had the .com bubble, and all of that .com stuff came in. Everything started being prefixed with E, right? And then now today you see the whole digital transformation. Whether cloud or mobility or data analytics. So as a sales guy, I need to be able to know what it means for my customer's business, and ability to marry that, all the technology pieces to the business outcomes they're looking for. I think that has to change, and you have to change. And I remember very clearly, I don't know if you remember, Tuhin, there was a guy who came for a guest lecture. I think he was from Godrej, and his name was Avasti something, some Avasti. I can't remember his name. One of the things he told us that day in that hall was quite, I still carry. He says, if you don't, and he had an exaggerated number, but I think the principle remains the same. He said, you've got to read 5 newspapers and 20 magazines and 5 books on a monthly basis, as a routine to be relevant. That's what he said. Be relevant. Otherwise, he said you're outdated. I think that holds the fact that you need to be relevant to your customer. You need to be moving with the times. So yes, things have definitely, my style of operation, what I'm bringing to client in terms of outcomes, those have definitely changed. But the bottom line of building relationships and being treated, you treat people like you want to be treated. All of those things don't.
Okay, I think you have brought about a very important point, which is about skilling yourself. And one of the ways you said is about being in touch, or maybe continuously reading. Now, other than that, anything else which you would have done, let's say, in your career as a continuous learner, where you have figured out not only you're learning from your experience, but you are also skilling yourself on a regular basis?
Yeah, so reading is stuff that you
definitely
do.
One top, yeah.
So I think connecting with successful people, and learning from them is quite interesting. So I've had very interesting mentors through my career. In fact, my My mentor today actually runs Microsoft in ANZ.
Hmm.
I used to be my mentor in IBM. He runs Microsoft.
Hmm.
And the thinking that comes from just having a chat with them, and is amazing learning. And in a short space over a coffee or a lunch, the
Hmm.
amount of learning you get is quite amazing.
Hmm.
So yeah, while you read, I think talking to people really helps a lot. And networking, I think, is important.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. We will come to the last segment, which is Ask Me Anything or AMA. Yeah. And before the call started, Biju just smiled because I was telling you I'm going to ask you some tough questions as it comes. So we'll come to the Ask Me Anything, which is there. So let me start with the easier one for you. You are my buddy for a long time. So are you more comfortable listening to songs or singing songs? Because you have a wonderful voice, and I remember when you used to sing in colleges and all, we used to be in rapt, and specifically after in the on a Friday night and Saturday night and all, after we have sat on a buffalo while coming back from you know where. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sitting on buffaloes is, yeah, I get that haunts me even now. But
Okay, maybe
no,
if you don't mind, and I said, uh, if you are game, will you want to tell our viewer what is the context which you're talking
no,
about?
no, you please go ahead. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Okay, for our viewers, see, we as MBA students were the most hardworking people. So we used to be working hard all throughout the week. And one day when we used to be going, so we used to go to one temple, and then we used to be ensuring that we have the right amount of liquid inside us. Yeah, and then we used to be coming back from there. And now the place where I used to be going, it's called Bacchus. For some people, I think, who will have the Manipal connection. So when used to be going down, there was not a problem. It was downhill, but coming up is a problem because it was uphill. And after you're doing the whole thing, so one day we were coming up, and slowly we were walking, and all we are like, most of us were tired. And then Biju said, "Yeah, boss, I can't walk anymore." And he figured out there is a rock, and he went and sat on the rock. Yeah. Only what he realized is the rock was moving. So he thought maybe it's because of what was has gone inside him. The rock is moving, but the rock actually got up, and it was a buffalo. So that is what we have been talking about, the buffalo as an example. Yeah.
And
Okay.
even today,
Coming back.
I have stories who remind me about the buffalo walk. Yeah.
The buffalo man. Yeah. Mm.
No, no. So coming back to singing,
Yeah.
while I, you tell me I have a great voice, but I don't really think so. I love to listen to music,
Okay.
and especially if it's live music. And
Mm.
the good thing is I've got a good friend circle here, and we catch up, every so often.
Mm.
And after food and a drink, the
Mm.
guys get on to playing music, and they some of them have got instruments always in the back of their car, so they pull it up, and I enjoy listening to them. They are an absolutely amazing bunch, and so I think I like to listen to music. I do sing, but
Mm.
I wouldn't sing anywhere near. Uh,
We would have loved if you could have sang one of those. Uh, I used to be very fascinated with, because um, not to become very regional and otherwise, the Mallu gang will sing some of those songs which, for me, I never understood the language, but I could feel the sense of happiness and the gay abandon with which you guys used to be singing it. So do you remember
yeah,
one of them, one of the those songs and all?
I no, see, I having grown up in Bangalore, I connected a lot with the Malu guys who came from Kerala, which is quite interesting, because they had all these songs that they sing when they do their boat races and stuff like that,
Yeah, yeah,
which also have some double meanings.
yeah.
so so yeah, joining them on that was good fun. But I'm really sorry. I don't really. I can sing with them, but I can't sing
But
alone
not
on
sing
those.
alone. Okay, so we'll keep it, and when we are able to get some of the gang together, we will do that. Okay, okay. Coming to the next one. So, are you still able to maybe spend some time in watching movies? And if you are doing that, uh, is it more of Hollywood movies which you like to watch, or is it sometimes you Bollywood also is Bollywood, or maybe Malayalam movies, which is one of the better
It's
ones?
Mollywood, the
Mollywood.
Mollywood,
So,
Mollywood. Yeah.
anything which you have seen this recently, which is a good recommendation from your side?
Yeah. So definitely. So we do get some time to watch movies, and we try and do theaters as much as possible whenever we get the time, because the experience is different.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I do watch a fair few Malu movies, but of late the quality isn't great. Um, but Hollywood, yes, I watched a very nice one. It's called Love in the Time of Cholera. I don't know if you've seen that.
No.
It's a award-winning book that was converted into a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes through, basically a guy who who loves a girl when he's young,
Hmm.
but she gets married to somebody. He waits a lifetime for her, and so it's
Hmm.
quite a nice movie. I believe it is an award-winning, a Nobel Prize-winning book. Yeah, so that was quite good, and I watched it because of the pandemic that came up. I said, "Oh, what this must be different." So yeah, it was quite nice. It was quite nice.
Okay.
I do watch Hindi movies, which has been highly recommended. Yes, because I don't really, I find it hard to understand the language, so I need subtitles to help. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Uh, okay, coming to your vacations and all, uh, I know Australia is a wonderful place and such a big country and so much to explore within the country itself. But um, if there are you have gone on some vacation, what has been the most memorable one? Something in Australia, maybe India, or any other places outside of Australia?
Yeah. So I think if you ask me a memorable place, I would say the Great Barrier Reef.
Lovely. Mm.
Purely because of you how does nature create this? It's
Mm.
absolutely amazing.
Mm.
But for me, and we do a lot of holidays, because that's one thing my dad always did with us when we were growing up as boys,
Mm.
is go on regular holidays. And because that is something that creates memories,
Mm.
it's more than stuff that you can give children, it's the memories, right? So, and my wife and I, we definitely do a lot of holidays purely from that perspective. You give them memories,
Mm.
and so it's we do stuff with them, which is things like like we went to the Great Barrier Reef. We do a lot of jumping into the water and having good fun.
Mm.
So that's definitely been a very memorable one. It's always, I think, a holiday becomes memorable when you share it with some people you want to share it with, right?
Mm.
I also really enjoyed going to Delhi, Agra, and Fatehpur and Rajasthan, Jaipur.
Jaipur.
So
Okay.
Delhi, I think that's the triangle, right?
Triangle,
With my
golden
boys,
triangle. Mm. Mm.
Golden Triangle. So that we went there maybe 4 or 5 years ago,
Mm.
and it was an amazing holiday with the boys, because the color, the sound, the taste was absolutely spectacular, and that was really memorable, because it's. I'd been to Delhi before in Agra, but going with the boys was a different experience, because it was new to them. They've grown up here, so it was actually really a wonderful trip.
Yeah, and I agree with you because I think since you guys have been coming back to India, and mostly I think might be spending time in Bangalore or in and around, or maybe once in a while gone to
Kerala.
Kerala and all. When you go to North, it's a very, as you rightly said, the color is different, the sound is different, the people are different, and the culture is totally different. Uh,
And
and
so much
it
history. There's so
so
much
much
history,
history, so much history. Yes.
especially about the Fatehpur Sikri and all of
Yeah.
those.
Mm.
Just reading and talking about it to the boys itself is amazing.
Yes. Yes. Okay, that's lovely. Okay, now let's maybe slowly move into hopefully the tougher ones. So when there is a match going on between Australia and India, so whom will you be supporting?
I I kind of actually it's hard to say, because when Australia is playing any other country,
Ah,
I'm supporting Australia. But
definitely.
when they're
Mm.
playing India, it's a different scenario. So, So that's my allegiance to from a cricket perspective. But it's really funny. My boys, when they were growing up, when they were small, it was Australia, Australia, Australia. But suddenly, I've seen the whole change. It's all about India. So
Oh.
they follow the Indian team big time.
Hmm.
And I still remember when we were young, we went to watch a match, and my eldest son had two T-shirts, the blue and the gold and green.
Golden.
So yeah, so depending on which team won, he would put
He
that
was.
out of the stadium. Yeah. So it
That's
was
a
a
good
funny.
way of doing it. Yeah, that's a good way
Yeah.
of doing it. Yeah. Um, so, just taking it forward, see, I recollect, and I used to be working with an organization, it used to be called ING. Um, and one of the consultant who had come over, because we were in a startup stage, I'm talking about 15 years back, he was an Australian. Yeah, and he was there for a long period of time, and he used to enjoy life thoroughly. But whenever there was a match, and I think Australia was touring India at that point in time, he came and he put a Australian flag where his workstation was, and then he was asking us guys, saying that, why have you guys not put the Indian thing? We said, yeah, India is in our heart and this, that, and all. Uh, and unfortunately, and that point in time, and 15 years back, Australia was a great team and was winning all the things, and we didn't have anything much to tell him and all. So I think maybe one match we won, one of the one days we won and all, and we made so much noise and we just pranked him. So when you go back and suppose there's a match which has happened, and let's say India has won it between India and Australia, and when you go back to work and all, do you then rub it into people saying that,
Oh,
see,
absolutely,
you did
absolutely, absolutely. We have the bragging rights. We have bragging rights for that time, definitely. Okay, and
and when Australia wins, what happens? Then
oh,
also you
Australia
brag.
does. Oh, no. When Australia does it, they, obviously they look at you and say, "Hey, what just happened to Mr. Kohli the other night?" You know, you kind of rub it in. Rub your nose in a bit.
So one thing which I always wonder, because I have not, I've gone out but not stayed there. So when you go out of a country and you stay for a long period of time, and as you said, you have stayed in Australia and you like the place and you're very grateful about whatever Australia has offered you. Um, Now, what are the feelings which you have about your home country, where you have grown up? So, do you follow up quite a lot about what is happening here? Let's say about the pandemic, because I recollect you guys were trying to raise fund to get some oxygen
It
concentrators for India. So,
yeah.
you guys have gone there, stayed there for 20 years, but you have not forgotten your motherland, which is there. So how do you take care of the emotions which are there about um, the home country, which or the country where you were born?
Mate, I'll tell you, we are all going through a very difficult patch, right? And if I look back at my life, I think I have it much better than our brothers and sisters in India, and that's the reality.
Yeah.
So I think at some point in time, you need to be able to pay back and pay forward.
Hmm.
You know, and the human misery that
Hmm.
is being faced by in India is you can't sit back and just watch it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Hmm.
can't sit back and watch it happen. And so as a we are doing it in our small way, what we can, and help. And some people, sometimes I've heard stories of what can you do? It's such a big country, so many people. But then it's always that starfish story, right? About little guy who threw starfish back into the ocean. It makes a
Hmm.
difference for that one starfish, right? That's
Yes.
lying on the beach.
Hmm.
So I think that's important, and there are a lot of Indians of similar mentality. We need to do something, and coming together. I think when you do a 50 times conversion, it becomes a
Hmm.
lot of money, which you can use very well for a
Hmm.
lot of good stuff. So definitely, heart is Indian, home is
Hmm.
Indian.
Hmm.
All right, I live here, I love it here, but
Hmm.
at the end of it, that's what you are. And to see people suffering the way they are suffering for
Hmm.
no fault of theirs,
Hmm.
always, it's something that I want to, I feel emotional about it, so I have to do something about it.
Fair enough. We will move to the last question, which is there. So, will you call yourself a religious person or more of a spiritual person?
I would definitely say it's more spiritual,
Hmm.
because religion is something that's man-made in my
Hmm.
view. Okay, it's your
Hmm.
beliefs, it's your practices that you do.
Hmm.
But I think I'm more, spiritual in the sense that it's I have a sense of peace and a sense of purpose
Hmm.
because of my faith.
Hmm.
All right. So I'm Christian, and my faith tells me that I have to help people, I have to honor God. I do.
Hmm.
So I think it is not religion. It's a relationship I have with my Creator.
Yes.
So that's how I see it. So
So,
I
hmm. Yeah, go ahead, Viju. Sorry.
no, so that's for me very personal in terms of my faith and my spirituality is that.
Yeah. See, around this time, all of us around 50s, and this is the time when we look at spirituality in a uh, much more stronger, because now I think the some of the material things and maybe the survival needs have been taken care of, and now we really want to get to figure out who we are and get to understand our purpose of life. So what kind of do you do a lot of reading up, or do you do a lot of listening up about different aspects which is there on spirituality? As you said, it's a vast area which is there.
Yeah. So I'm a Christian, okay,
Hmm.
and so the Bible is what is the truth for me.
Hmm.
And that we look at it as the Word of God,
Hmm.
and the Bible gives us ways of how to live a life that honors God and honors people.
Yes.
So if you look at the cross, right? I look at the cross as two parts. So
Hmm.
you have a vertical part, which is your relationship with God,
Hmm.
and you have a horizontal part, which is your relationship with your fellow beings,
Hmm.
to form that. And that is basically the, if you ask, if you look at the Bible can be distilled into just two commands. Okay,
Hmm.
love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, and
Hmm.
love your brother.
Hmm.
That's all it is. It is very simple. All
Hmm.
right. So so that when you look at, we talked about the pandemic and the thing,
Yeah.
taking care of widows and orphans is something that is a command.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And I think as a Christian, and as a good human being,
Yes.
you need to actually,
We need to also
that's
do that.
something that we follow that. Yes. So I think it's important, to have that compassion, and which is obviously driven by your faith.
Hmm. I think that's lovely, because I think you have been able to crystallize in your thought process and able to get it out from your faith, which is not only keeping you contented, but also ensuring that you are in coexistence with all the other human beings, nature, um, and the environment as we are talking about. I think it's
Absolutely.
wonderful, Biju. I think we had a great 40 minutes discussion which we had, and we have been, I think, been able to cover lots of things which is there. Um, I really hope borders open up, because I think Australia, I think, is still not opened up. So neither you guys are able to come, neither some people like us might be able to come over and meet you. But hopefully, we will meet up soon physically, and
I'm
we'll
sure.
have much more greater chatting and discussion. And maybe that buffalo will try to figure out where that fellow went. So
No, no, thank you so much, and thank you so much for inviting me on your program, Tuhin. All the very best to you, and I think it's a great initiative, just to understand people a bit more, and have some fun too in the process.
and wish you a great happy birthday, because this video is getting uploaded when your birthday is coming. Yeah. So wish
That
you
is
have a
great.
great thing, have great fun in whatever contained way you can do among your close family members which is there. Yeah. So wish you all the
Cool. Yeah.
best.
Thank you so much, Tuhin. Have a good day.
Okay,
Bye.
bye then. Bye. Bye.